Behold, Avs Nation. What would you like? Do you want defense? Look no further than period 3 of game number 2. You want offense? Look no further than period 3 of game number 3, where the Avalanche put up a 5 spots on the Winnipeg Jets and now have a 2-1 series lead. Let's talk about it. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
Your Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for tuning in and making it your first listen of the day. Very much appreciated. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. And join us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, X, Locked On Avalanche, Instagram, and Threads. Questions, comments, concerns, opinions, LockedOnAvalanche@gmail.com. And follow us on our YouTube channel. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live, and subscribe to our subtext as well. Link to that is in the show notes below. And when you do, chat with Kyle and I one-on-one. Get your opinion on everything Avalanche related, which we share on this very podcast, which we will do a little bit later. We'll get, we're going Macarena style today. Okay. We'll get some feedback from the subtext people on this game and some predictions for game 4. So let's focus in on this one, Kyle. Game 3 goes to the Avs, thanks to a third period where they put up 5. And like I said in the opening, it's like pick your poison. You know, when you're up and you need to clamp down on defense, that's what they did in game 2 in the third period. When you're down, even though you're only down 1, you're going into third, you need offense. You put up 5 of them in the third period. That it was. So if you're Winnipeg, you got to be thinking like, what do we do? Like nothing is safe for Winnipeg because the Avs have shown that, you know, they can play either or. The depth is kicking in here. We'll get to Casey Middlestat in a little bit. It was a tight game for 40 minutes, and then things got out of hand for Winnipeg and in the Avalanche favor in the third. And that's your final.
I think it's time to have the conversation, especially with how that third period went. I think Connor Hellebuyck is starting to crack. You could see with the quality of save attempts he's trying to make, this tortoise in the hare race from game 1 to now going into game 4, the Avalanche are playing their style, and it's starting to pay off when it comes to the quality attempts that you're getting from Connor Hellebuyck. That onslaught, that 5-goal third period. If you see the attempts that Hellebuyck was trying to make, he feels like he's lost. He's all by himself. He's on an island, and he's just not there. The Avalanche are beginning to win, and going into this afternoon game in game 4,
which I don't like, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's a weird flex. Way to go, NHL scheduling.
Mm-hmm.
You really, it's no pun intended because of game 3, but there's blood in the water. Like, can you continue this? Like we talk about Forgiev going into the playoffs, like Connor Hellebuyck is at an alarming rate of letting up goals, and the quality, just how bad his attempts look. That has to be reassuring for everything we're about to talk about. Individual Avs effort, it's all starting to pay off because you're seeing what you're doing to the Vezina winning goalie in the NHL right now, Connor Hellebuyck.
And maybe I'm wrong here, but I feel like this is, he is, I don't want to say he's like doubting himself. He knows he's, an all-world goalie, but just like right now, like how we were feeling with Georgiev, how his just morale has just was at an all-time low towards the end of the season. And after that first game, we got 2 games where he snapped out of it. For Hellebuyck, it's just, he's got to be thinking like, what can I my guys in front of me, sure, it's all inclusive, so they got to play better too. And I feel like the difference between the Winnipeg defense, they feel like we haven't played well, we can play better. But I don't know if the same can be said for Hellebuyck right now. Sure, like he can say like, I can snap out of this, but I'm not stopping pucks. They're getting the best of me. They're getting, Avalanche got another 40 shots on goal, I believe. Mm-hmm. Where's my shots on goal here?
Yeah,
exactly.
40,
exactly 40 shots on goal. So from a defensive standpoint, Winnipeg's got to be like, okay, we got to change our dynamic here and bring that number down a little bit. We can't get it down to the teens or anything, but Hellebuyck's got to be sitting there like, man, even if they get it cut in half, am I going to be able to stop these shots? Because they're getting quality shots on me. So what the Avalanche have done for these 3 games, you lost the first one, but we all said it after everybody from people that are there in the arena covering them to just, people on social media, just like, hey, we lost that game, but we put up 6. And the Avalanche has continued to put up goals. And on the back end, you've had Alexander Georgiev really turning things around for 2 games. That's exactly what we were saying after game 1. Get a few more saves and you're okay. And that has turned true for games 2 and 3.
And it's really refreshing to see how the Avalanche are using these 40 shots. They were 2 for 6 on the power play, but you love to see the quality passing. We'll talk about Middlestat in a bit, but the passing that you're getting from Middlestat when it comes to these extra passes, where everybody is at all times. Nichushkin playing the Landeskog role right in front of Hellebuyck. Nathan McKinnon firing lasers. These are quality shots. It's almost like Colorado is playing Winnipeg's game from game 1. Just the passing, the turnovers, they've cleaned those up. It's not as egregious as they used to be in games 1 and a little bit in game 2. They're playing a much cleaner game, and the passes, there's confidence. And this is all attributed to Georgiev and how he's playing. Like, he's being exactly what the Avalanche need right now. And now that you don't have to overplay defense and cover, now you can actually play your game. You're seeing that confidence restored in the defense and the forwards when it comes to quality of shots, quality of passes. You love how the Avalanche are playing right now.
And this was a close game for two periods. And the Avs get the one. Parise got the first goal, right? Yeah. And then you get one from Tyler Toffoli, which is just like, I'm not blaming Georgiev on that one. I thought he was, the broadcast made it seem like he left a chasm wide open. I mean, he's as uptight to that post as possible. That's just luck. Good luck for the Jets. And man, like if the phrase just throw the puck on net was ever true, it was for, the first few goals in this game. That's literally what was happening. And you're seeing like, and even for the second goal for the Jets, that was on the power play, just throw it towards the net. Good things happen when you throw the puck towards the net. And then Cale Makar did the same thing. So you just saw that. And then, once you get to the third, obviously we'll get to that. But I thought the Avs, I thought they looked good for 2. This was going to be a tight game. I'm sitting there thinking like, man, this isn't over, 2-1 going into the third. Maybe we're headed for our first overtime, but I was pretty confident the Avs could at least even it up. And then they just went on a run and the Jets couldn't stop the dam.
Like, I like that you mentioned Tyler Toffoli's effort, because I feel like that also led to this third period that the Avalanche had, because there was that turnover that Mikko Rantanen had where it went right to Toffoli and he had a breakaway. Like, it was a sure enough goal. And Georgiev stacked it and rocked that breakaway. And it felt like that confidence. You said you didn't feel like the Avs, they had a chance in this game. It felt like the entire team started believing in that very moment, because you saw from that moment on, that team was on fire. And Georgiev making that save in that moment, it set this team on, okay, we got to do what we got to do. He's doing it. He's our scapegoat. He has been all season. Now that he's playing all world right now, we have to step it up.
Step it up. Yeah. Those are huge. When you can make those saves, that just gets everybody galvanizes, the home crowds into it, and they're tough to stop. You know what I mean? If it's a breakaway, like, I'll never fault a goalie for not being able to stop a breakaway. But when you do, those are momentum shifters. And yeah, I mean, it was, you're right. I think that just gets everybody amped up a little bit more. So, and again, in the third, not only did the Avs score their 5 goals, but like we said after game 2, when they had the lead and had to clamp down on defense, and you knew that Winnipeg was going to come after them, and they held them to what was it in that 8 shots? I think it was 8 shots in the third period. In this one, I mean, you obviously scored your 5 goals. That was only on 12 shots, and Winnipeg only had 5 shots in the third period
with an empty net.
It's like for that period, things were clicking. That for, and I don't want to just say like, oh, this is just the Avs running away. Yeah, they did in the third, but you saw what Winnipeg could do in the first couple periods, in the first two periods. You saw it. But is it just the Avs are just too much? Which is weird to say because Winnipeg had your number in the regular season. Why is it? Why is there a difference now between, they embarrassed you at home 7-0. Is it just, hey, we get up for the playoffs? Is it, I mean, that could come into play here. Is it the history the Avs have, the recent history of being in the playoffs and being familiar with what, sometimes that's just overwhelming for guys. I don't want to say it is for the Jets, but it's just a tale of two seasons right now with your regular season and the playoffs. And even in the loss, the Avalanche obviously looked good.
And it's funny that you bring this up because I was thinking about this in the game. What's the difference in this team and regular season? And honestly, I kind of drew the parallel between the Tampa Bay Lightning and seasons 2 and 3 of them going for the three-peat. It was, oh man, are the defending champions in trouble? They went back and won the cup. And then going into the three-peat season, they were trying for the three-peat. Oh, look, they look lifeless. They're just kind of getting to the playoffs and then they'll worry about it there. It feels like that's what the Avalanche are doing. Like they've done about all you can do. Like when it comes to Winnipeg, you drop those games, it's not really affecting much. And it felt like the Avs just kind of get to the playoffs, get healthy, we'll handle it there. And it feels like the sleeping giants awake, especially after game 1. They played a good game, but the score wasn't in their favor. Games 2 and 3 are what you want to see. And if this is how it's going to continue to go, now the Avalanche are branded, quote unquote, a playoff team.
Yeah. So more to get to with this game. We'll talk about Casey Middlestat, who just sneakily good in this game.
Yeah.
We'll get into that. We'll talk about the third. I know some Jets fans are not happy about the third, thinking they didn't get some calls. And the double minor that maybe turned the tide here. That was on Devon Taves. Nasty high stick, which was eventually called. And then all the shenanigans at the end of the game, which did not need to happen. So a lot more to get to. Sit tight. Locked On Avalanche. We'll be back right after this. All right, let's hear from Indeed. And when you're drafting your fantasy team, do you ever wish you could handpick the best stars for your business team? If you're building your talent roster, then you need Indeed. It is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Don't spend hours on multiple job sites looking for candidates with the right skills when you can do it all with Indeed. Find top talent fast with Indeed's suite of powerful hiring tools like matching assessments and virtual interviews. And if you hate waiting, Indeed's US data shows that over 80% of Indeed employers find quality candidates whose resume on Indeed match their job descriptions the moment they sponsor a job. So visit Indeed.com/lockedon to start hiring right now. Go to Indeed.com/lockedon. That's Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application pricing not available for everyone. And if you need to hire, then you need Indeed. All right, more on game 3 between the Colorado Avalanche and the Winnipeg Jets, which the Avalanche win 6-2 based on a very impressive third period. You had points up and down the roster, Kyle, in this game for the Avalanche. You had Parise with the goal, which is great to see. Cogliano got an assist. Nichushkin, Colton, McKinnon, Lehkonen, Taves, all with goals. Gerard, Manson, Taves added an assist. Makar with an assist. Mikko Rantanen with 2 assists. I said Cogliano already. McKinnon added an assist. And Casey Middlestat with 3 assists on the night. This was by far the best game that he has played since being traded to the Avalanche. And maybe it's just one of those things where, like, he wasn't bad in game 1 or game 2, but this is where he just seemed comfortable. And he's not the guy that just jumps off the screen. Like, he makes some pretty plays that, if you're watching, you're like, whoa, what was, rewind that. What did he do there? Like, very slick, very sly moves from Casey Middlestat. But you can just see he's confident when the puck is on his stick. And he just makes little twitchy moves here and there. And passing is crisp. Had almost a really pretty goal that was nice passing on that line. Overall, This is what you need in a 2C, my friend. Good Lord. He was awesome.
And credit to McFarland and Sakic for going out to get McFarland, because when it comes to this talent level, Metalstat, you could see he had this awakening. And this is something new for him. This is his first stint in the playoffs. Good for you. And you also have an all-world talent, but you don't have to use it on this team. And you could see it. You talked about the confidence on his stick. He could use that talent with a talented roster. You don't have that luxury in Buffalo. You could use that. You could see that on that play. I believe it was Ross Colton that scored. Parise could have got it. There was a line ready for that pass. Everybody kind of sees what's going on here. It's his passing is crisp. He's using that talent to improve everybody else. And instead of having that high scoring 2C that you're expecting Nas level scoring, he's getting it the McDavid method, passing it around, the assists, improving everybody around him. And you could see this starting to pay off and this epiphany unlock for him. So now he's even more dangerous when he has the puck. You don't know if he's going to score or if he's going to allow somebody else that is open to be the scoring threat. So you don't know how to play him right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's to a lesser extent like what Nathan McKinnon did. Like when Nathan McKinnon's got the puck, you have no idea what he's going to do. You know, he can thread the needle in a pass and just the quick wrist shot that he's got, that he's not even looking at the goalie when he, like, we all know what Nathan McKinnon can do. Casey Middlestat is kind of built that way. I'm saying like with the incredible like scoring abilities and the speed or anything like that Nathan McKinnon has. But when he can, facilitate the way that he does, you have to respect that and not know where he's going to go with the puck. And that just opens up shooting lanes for him. And he can score. You can score goals, not on, a McDavid McKinnon level, but it just makes him that much more dangerous because he is dangerous with the puck and finding teammates. And you saw it. He's in the 3 assists alone. But other than that, like he's just, especially behind the net, he is awesome. Watch him next game. He does not panic when he's got the puck below the net and his head is up. The hockey IQ is off the charts for Middlestat. He's fun to watch play because it's nuanced. Yeah. It's just small little things, and where you love watching the Cale Makars and the Nathan McKinnons of the world just skate circles around people. Casey Middlestat is built differently. He's heady. He's smart. Like like I said, the IQ is just off the charts for him.
Yeah, and I guess you could call his time with the Buffalo Sabres like the school of hard knocks. He had to learn to play that way to become successful. Like there's only so many times you could pass it to Darlene or Tage Thompson to try and get a win. But now you have you could use that same IQ that you used to have to rely on to get a win. You can easily, you can have a easier night just passing that around and like utilize it on the power play and the forecheck. It's great. His passing, he knows where he has to be and where everybody is at all times. And it's just a cool, calm, collected, not flashy, not showy, not in your face, not too much, not too less. It's the perfect amount for what you want in a 2C.
It's good. It's real good. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he follows that up in game 4. Third period for this one, obviously, Avs had a lot of time on the power play, and I know Jet fans are not happy about that. I think their frustration maybe lies in some calls that they were not getting as opposed to the calls that were called against the Jets. Because the ones that were called against the Jets, those were all penalties. And maybe you're upset that the Taves one didn't get called right away. I mean, a penalty is a penalty. If they went back and corrected it, what are you going to do? Like it still happened. It still occurred, and it was bad. Like Taves was gushing blood. That was not the only time that there was blood gushing in this game, unfortunately. But you got the double minor on that. You score a goal, and Nichushkin scored a goal. It was like 4 seconds below the 2-minute mark, or else you would have had another power play tacked on. So, and then you said earlier they're 2 for 6 on the power play. And then I think the Ross Colton one was scored like milliseconds after the penalty was up. So we'll call it 2.5 for 6, but they were good. Like, yes, they got a lot of power plays. I think the Jets kind of just lost their way a little bit in the third, where there's some penalties that could have been called on the Avs. Sure. Could there have been? Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and say, I don't want to toe the line and be like, we're homers and going for sure. But that goes both. Like the things that were called against the Jets were like egregious, stick to the face, tripping, delay of game. Like they're in front of you, they're cut and dry. And I thought the ones against the Avalanche were not so egregious. And it's the whole like, it's a playoffs. They're not going to call that in the playoffs type of thing. The only thing I'm worried about here is if, there's makeups for it in game 4, which will happen. So we'll see.
It's one of those, you got to chalk it up to the way Winnipeg was trying to close out that game. They had the lead going into that dangerous third. They've been winning the faceoff 61% to 39. Like everything was in your favor up until that point. And when you felt the momentum shift because of that save from Georgiev and bringing that momentum back to Colorado, your way of responding was get chippy, which has benefited you in a respectful way in game 1 and 2. But that chippiness is easy to call, especially on the road. Like you're not going to get home cooking from the refs. So you gotta calm it down. And guess what? You said you hope there's not a response to that in game 4. The way you ended game 3 will also keep the refs watching you like a hawk.
And let's talk about that because like I was expecting Winnipeg to just get in the face of Avalanche players and start a little bit of haymakers and things like that. What it went to was just not what you want to see. Like there's a level of like, we're losing this game and we're going to set the tone for game 4. I get that happens all the time, especially in the playoffs. But when it went to Brandon Dillon skating off the ice, clearly not looking good. Like you could tell from the camera view that they had just following him going to the bench, you could see his arm and hand were just covered in blood and it just looked bad. And then you kind of like see the pictures, and I posted something up on Twitter X if you want to go see it. I did blur it out. You do have to zoom in to see. I did blur it because I know it's like the squeamish of the world, which I am for some things, but for some reason when it comes to hockey stuff, I'm not. I don't know why.
We don't have feelings anymore.
No, yeah. So it looked like he and the whole thing, and people are like, oh, he deserved it. No, he didn't deserve it. Like, sure, he started it. You still don't deserve that.
No.
And it was I'm sure it was an accident on how it happened, but a skate blade just seemed to come right across his hand and it is cut wide open. It's gruesome. You don't like seeing that. And that's why this stuff, I don't want to say like it needs to stop because that's the in between the ear stuff. That's the mind game you play. The chess match that I always refer to, that's part of it. But it just went too far. And as the Avs are celebrating on the ice crew's out there with a scraper scraping the blood off the ice too. And Brendan Duhaime's jersey is all bloodied too. So it just sometimes it just goes too far. And this was one of those times.
Yeah. It's like the playoff series with St. Louis. Like it was a fun series until Bennington went out. And now St. Louis says it was fun up until that point. And you don't want Dillon to go out because of something like this. And this has been a fun series with Winnipeg. And you don't want it to stop being fun because you lost Dillon because of something like this. Yeah. And you want to keep it competitive and respectful. I understand tensions are high, but let's not end games like this. We're past this, the goonery.
I know it's I can't imagine he's playing for the rest of this year. Who knows? I mean, hockey players are built differently, but the one picture that I saw, just like, man, if you come back from that in a day, one day off. Yeah. I know I could do it. I know, right? I'd be done for the year. Are you kidding me? I'd retire.
Yeah, you just don't want to see games. A really good series so far.
I know.
Go down to something like this, and then it's just a bad taste in your mouth for the rest of the way.
Yep. So, all right, let's get to our subtext people, and then of course we have our sound check, which I have to get to as well. We'll do that right after this. All right, let's hear from Monopoly Go. I'm not kidding. Right before we were recording, I was in my living room playing this game, and my wife walked behind me. She's like, "You're still playing that thing?" I'm telling you, it's addicting. It's addicting. It's simple. It's Monopoly. I know Kyle loves this game.
Yeah, it is a big hit in the Von Doom household for sure.
Yeah. So, and we've all been there. either as a player or as a fan. It's halftime and the scoreboard is not looking good and you're feeling low. You're not sure you or your team can pull out a win. That's when you dig deep, lift your head up and say to yourself, time to get back in the game, pull off some bank heists and take as much of my friends' money as possible. That's because the smash hit mobile game at Monopoly Go, it lets you compete with your friends to get the most riches and the biggest empire. It's the Monopoly that you love, but on your phone anytime with tons of new twists, including leaderboards to compare your progress to your buddies. And there's so much to do. You can play on countless dynamic Monopoly boards, make your friends bankrupt by smashing their landmarks with a wrecking ball, and charge other players rent for your iconic properties. So get back out there, put on your game face, and download Monopoly Go now, free on the App Store or Google Play. Your life will just waste away playing Monopoly Go, except for Avalanche games. All right, let's turn to our subtext crew, see what they had to say about Game 3, and they also threw out predictions for Game 4. Zach says, amazing game. Georgiev looked great. Copy and paste for another 14 games. Sign me up, Zach.
Yeah. I'll email McFarland right now.
Yeah. And, we were talking about Hellebuyck a lot, but, Georgiev, 2 in a row. 2 in a row, 2 good games. And they had, let me see here quickly. I believe they had 8 high danger shots against him, 6 high danger chances against Georgiev. So you mentioned the breakaway save he had. Maybe he's dialed in now, man. Now is the time. And to feel like he was this close, he was the flu away from probably not playing. I don't want to say any more in this series, but at least starting Game 2, he's taken this opportunity, and at least for 2 games, he's running with it.
As they say back home in Alabama, when is a rattlesnake most dangerous? When he's backed into a corner. Mm. And look at Alexander Georgiev right now.
It's very true. Very true. So who else? We got Mark says, where is he here? Yet another example of championship poise and sticking to Avs game plan by Bednar and the boys. Jets clogged up the Avs offensive zone and did all they could to take away all the shooting lanes and just about smothered each and every play from the onset, I guess. Avs kept to their style of game plan, did not panic, and grinded down the Jets to point of boiling over frustration. Yeah, go Avs. You cannot forget about Georgiev. A guy went from an awful game 1 to full backstop and strongman emojis he put after that. So
easily.
Yeah. That's what Bednar says is we stick to our game. We stick to our game plan. It works for us. It's not going to be perfect every single game, but if we can keep things close and keep chipping away, the Avs look good for 2 periods. So did the Jets, but then they just kick it into high gear when they need to, and away they go.
And you can find out because of Georgie, like the way he's playing, teams have to change how they play because how the Avalanche play, because you have average goaltending making it impossible to do anything with. You could do everything right, and it's still not enough, and that's got to be frustrating for opposing teams.
Mark says, Avs will win this one 4-3. I have a feeling Jets will jump out to an early 2 or 3 goal lead, and then the Avs will do what they've done most of the year, come back and win it. And he also sent a picture of his license plate, which he's from Virginia. He has Go Avs for his license plate, representing in Virginia.
It's for lovers.
I love it, Mark. Good job there. All right. Easton, what a way to wake up. So I think Easton's on the East Coast. So that's, we get it, Easton. It's late. What a way to wake up. Holy smokes. Pleasant surprise. For the sake of my blood pressure, I sure hope the Reign in a 3-1 series lead. Mikko has to pop off right now, doesn't he? Avs win 3-2. Mikko was getting knocked around a little bit in that first period. He was knocked on his dumper a few times.
Maybe game 3 was his wake up game. Like we're talking about Georgiev.
Yeah.
And honestly, game 1, maybe Mikko's going through that. And I'm with Easton. Look for game 4.
I feel like Mikko, he's not preparing himself well for hits. And because he's a big guy, maybe he just feels like I can absorb it and it won't knock me down. Like, the Jets are a big team. I don't know if that's what he's doing, but if it is, Miko, like, they're out to hit you, buddy. Prep yourself for that.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's Mr. Lehkonen. Would you like to weigh in on this?
Yeah, right. I know. You can learn from him exactly.
Well, his dad called him out for being lazy earlier this year. Maybe it's time to play that back out and be like, hey, Miko, remember this?
Yeah. Avs fan forever. 40 puts up another nice night. We'll see. We'll see another Avs win. I predict a 3-1 win for the Avs. Tired up until the end of the second. For some reason, I'm being optimistic for tomorrow in that both teams will bring it defensively and the Avs will chip away, possibly getting some power plays to gain some late game steam. If 40 doesn't come to play, it's going to be a landslide. Well, yeah. I mean, look what's happening on their end.
Yeah.
Hellebuyck's not coming to play, and they're becoming landslides. So, yeah, I mean, if your goalie doesn't show up, you got problems. Electrician Ziggy. Well, what do you know? Hellebuyck is human after all. The fact that the Avs are making him statistically the worst goalie in the playoffs gives me hope that we will win the first round and potentially take down the Vegas Golden Cap Cheaters in round 2. Thank you, Electrician Ziggy, for renaming the Vegas Golden Knights. They are now the Vegas Golden Cap Cheaters. I absolutely love that.
I saw them referred to as the Captainites, and it's perfect.
Love it. Also, I couldn't help but smile ear to ear every time the crowd chanted Georgie, Georgie tonight. True, because he was hearing it from the Winnipeg crowd. And it's nice how the Avalanche fans didn't reciprocate that and get on Hellebuyck.
Yeah.
They just backed their guy. So kudos to the Avalanche fans for doing that.
As faithful as one of the best.
Yep. Coy says Ball is behind Georgie. So many of his chants. Still want more from that top line, but Avs in 5 a possibility? Question mark. What is wrong with Hellebuyck? And he's happy for Ross Colton, it seems like, too. Aren't we all? We all love the Ross Colton celebration goal. Like, nobody has a smiley face like he does after a goal. It's beautiful.
Oh, Lehkonen's reaction after his goal, like, it was the most pure joy I think I've experienced. That was magic.
Love it. Amy says, so happy to have been wrong about Parise.
Yeah.
Okay. He's been an asset so far in the playoffs. Middlestat makes such sweet passes, and he and Lecky are great together. Great game from Georgie. I'm feeling good about this team. The Jets were melting down at the end of game 3. I expect that they'll pull themselves together for game 4, but I still think the Avs win it 4-2. Is it one of those things where, like, it's weird? Like I said, in the regular season, they had your number, and the Avs have stepped it up in the playoffs. If the Avs can play like this, is there anything the Jets can do to win these games other than they have to do what we said the Avs had to do in game 1? They need to get better goaltending, and then we have a series. If that doesn't happen, Avs are running away with this thing.
Yeah, I mean, in this economy, the price of jet fuel, I mean, they're probably running out of gas, and an avalanche only gets more dangerous the more it builds.
Absolutely. And then Joe says, all around solid performance. I wasn't mad at either goal. Georgiev gave up. No, I'm with you on that. The man is on a roll. I'll be in the building Sunday for the SmackDown. Go Avs, go. All right, we got to win then.
Yep.
Joe's in the building.
Win one for Joe.
This one's for Joe.
Yep. Hashtag This is for Joe.
Love it. All right. Last thing we're going to get to, and that is our sound check. And we had a couple other people from Subtext, so thank you everybody for filling all those out. But we're running low on time here, so we got to get to our sound check. And this is where Kyle and I pick one song each, where that best summarizes the most recent game, and these songs go up on a playlist over on Spotify. Just search for LOA Soundcheck Volume number 3. What do you have? Game 3 between the Jets and the Avs.
You ever seen Beverly Hills Cop?
All of them. Well, no, I didn't see the most recent one, actually. 1, 2, and 3 I saw.
If I told you the pressure's high just to stay alive, and I'd say the heat is on, that's honestly that's where you're going. Like, you're seeing everything turn for the Avalanche, and you're seeing everything fall for Winnipeg. Like, You feel like the Avalanche are the team with the momentum, everything in their corner. And if you're Winnipeg, if I'm Harrison on Locked On Jets, what am I saying right now? What are you excited about? Everything's falling apart and it's getting worse. So the Avalanche just need to continue doing what they're doing and build and capitalize. No steps back. Don't take a breath.
Yeah, it's well, go check Harrison out or on Locked
yeah.
On Jets to get their take on all this, because yeah, it's interesting because you're a good team. You're clearly a good team. You're just not getting the good play from the guys that have gotten you to this point right now, and that's in Connor Hellebuyck. Not to put it completely on him, but it's, you know, what we were all going through for so many games and weeks and months of the season. And I kind of want to keep the focus on, like these are 2 games that the Avs have been in command. That doesn't mean it just rolls over into game 4, because Winnipeg is not going to roll over and die. You know, we said it after game 1, even after they won, that Hellebuck's not happy with letting in that many goals. So now he's not just gonna, dude's a Vezina winner, eventual. He's gonna step it up. So no, this is like, yeah, you go out and play how you've been playing, but you got to keep the momentum and keep the tempo up by a long mile here, because it's not over. But for that game, I'm continuing with my Pearl Jam run here. New album is just so good, people. Just go listen to it. It's phenomenal. But this is not from the new album, Dark Matter. This is from one of their well-known albums, Vitalogy, like from the late 90s. And this song simply is called Whipping, because that's what you did in the 3rd period. So plain and simple, you whooped them. You got 5 goals on them, and they were feeling good about themselves headed into the 3rd, rightly so. But it all came apart because the Avs stuck it to them. So that's what I'm going with. Pearl Jam's Whipping. Can't beat it.
Down with that.
Love it. All right. We got an early game on Sunday. So yeah, it's a playoff. So we're doing weekend episodes, as you can clearly see. So we will be back tomorrow for to talk about this game 4. Can the Avs take a stranglehold on this series heading back to Winnipeg? We shall see. Until then, thank you for tuning in, making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. He is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. Enjoy game 4, and we'll see you guys on Monday.